Welcome back to Gale Force Wins Season 4.
Well, I'm Alan Dale, and with me as always, my good buddy Gerry Crew. We are in the East End of St. John's, and I want to tell you, it's a great to be back recording right where it all began, right here in Gerry's studio in St. John's, Newfoundland. Gerry, excited about this 4-year anniversary edition?
Yes, as I changed the color of the lights while you're talking. Yeah, you're right. It did start right here. You and I chatted. I was staring into what's behind this camera, no one can see, is my computer. And you and I had a chat. And I got to say to you, Alan, 4 years into this, it seems like yesterday we started it. You said to me, you know what, Gerry, every week, and kudos to you for phoning me, or you phoned me and said, how you doing? And I said, well, you know, not doing too good. Rehashing the story, long story short, is you were there for me when I needed you. And then we kind of morphed into Gale Force Wins. I'll never forget the day that you said to me, Gerry, I'm really enjoying these Zoom calls, because we did it for 4 or 5 months.
That's right.
And then you said to me, why don't we bring a guest in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what it's all about, right? It morphed really from us having a conversation to a celebration of the people that come on the show. And then that, of course, has created a business where all we really do is celebrate the success of the people that are in the businesses that we do, that we work with, right? And it's about sort of telling their stories to showcase the great things that are happening, eh?
Yes, and you know what? This will be posted for our anniversary, episode 245, and I can tell you this, when we record a bunch and we put them aside and that, I miss it. It's almost, because it's all about inspiration, Alan, and you're right. I mean, for us, this is such an incredibly positive experience. And the people we deal with, you know, the customers, it's become a positive experience for them.
100%, but that to me is the best part about it, right? It's almost like recharging your batteries every time you go to work, because you get to hear such great stories from people that are doing such great things. Why don't you talk about some of the customers, Gerry?
Well, I mean, a year ago, I'm going to start with this one. We were asked to go out to Stephenville, and we're going to kind of jump around a bit. But that one for me was interesting because it was a rally in support of the hydrogen work that's going out there. It was such a pleasure to be in a community, Alan, and help lift up that particular project. You know, that for me was probably the most different because it was in a community. We went to a community and we recorded community stories. You know, what do you think of that one?
No, that was an incredible one, you know, and seeing their people holding signs up, little kids, you know, bring my daddy home, and emotionally charged stuff. Great conversation. And one of the ones that jumps off the page for me was the kind of work that we did with the Royal Canadian Navy, near and dear to both our hearts, but being able to celebrate some of the folks in the Navy and the good things that they're doing and continue to do, that was a big one for me. And that sort of, I got the same feeling of excitement when I started to do work in the career college sector too, Gerry, like hearing the stories from those people whose lives have been transformed, whether it was Kean College or whether it was Discovery College or Oxford College, right across the country. The conversations were just fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what, now that you've singled that one out, and it's a challenge. We've had 75 clients invest in us over the last 4 years. And I can tell you that, you know, the moment we start singling one out, we're going to forget someone. But I do want to say you're right. I found that the college system is such an interesting business, and what they're doing for this country in giving people, you know, the upskilling. Frankly, that wasn't even a word that was in my vocabulary. And watching and listening, Alan, because frankly, I've been behind the camera. You've done a lot of the interviews, but I've been listening and editing those. I think we've done close to 500 across the country.
Just in the college system alone, over 2,000 interviews almost now. We're here at our 4-year point. So yeah, you're right, about 500 just in that college system. But you know, we'd be sort of remiss if we didn't talk about some of the early adopters to us, right? Whether it was Genoa design, whether it was the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association, those people that saw early in us the potential of what it was they were doing and the positive messaging. Also to the good people at Defense and Security Show, they understood that the conversation that we were bringing was really unique and different, eh?
Well, you're right. I mean, I'll never forget it. When you and I started this, as we, said at the beginning, it became a conversation on Zoom, and then you said, well, why don't we bring someone in? The concept that this would be a business wasn't even in our heads, really. It became that when, the Ron and Nearys of the world, Genoa, Gina Pecor and Len, and others started to say to us, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's funny, isn't it? When you're in a business, those around you really do lift you up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then, of course, it's afforded us the ability to sort of tell stories from around the world as well, right? Greece, and we were in Hungary, made our way into Turks and Caicos, an ability to sort of take stories from around the globe and bring them back to Newfoundland, which is very exciting too.
Well, I agree with you, and one comes to mind is the golf course, Royal Turks and Caicos. And frankly, this was not our idea. The idea to shoot videos for the frequently asked questions page. That's what we did there. And if you go on the Royal Turks and Caicos golf course and look for their FAQs, we brought those to life. And, kudos to our client and Samantha in the marketing department. That was her idea. Yeah. And we just brought it to life.
We brought it to life for them. But it was so great to be able to take that sort of unique, I would argue, Newfoundland approach to a place like the Turks and Caicos and put our sort of spin on it. And I think they really enjoyed that, whether it was in the Turks or whether it was in Hungary or Greece or wherever. People enjoyed that particular approach. And then there's been some sort of people that are new to our conversation. Companies like Blue Metric and, the mining sector here in Newfoundland, new to the conversation here at Gale Force Wins, but such a pleasure to have them in the conversation because they're part of sectors that are just booming right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just 2 weeks ago did Mining NL, we did Central Minix, and I remember that first Central Minix, you weren't available. And I did it, we went out there and Amanda McCollum was the one that got us there. And I can tell you, I keep saying to you how excited I was when someone like Eric Sprott, who I didn't even know, comes to Gander in his private jet, the world's preeminent gold investor, and he's telling you that this is a jurisdiction that the world needs to look at. As as two native Newfoundlanders, it's incredibly exciting, Alan, to hear that.
Yeah, 100%. It's been it all boils down to sort of one thing with us, and that is the people that we talk to and pulling their stories out in a genuine and authentic manner. And I think that people are really enjoying the conversation. People can go to our website and they can see every week, every Tuesday night, and kudos to you for staying completely on top of, we need the inspirational videos coming out every Tuesday night. Easy to put that aside. When things get busy, easy to say, oh, we won't do one this week, but you've never done that. It's always been, we need, people can go to our website and find those. And then that same model, that same sort of theme of optimism finds its way into everything that we do for our clients.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Yes, I agree. The Tuesday night inspiration is the reason that we started this, and that authentic, no paper conversation that we have with people is a really important one. And I think more people can do this. What I think has happened to me and you is this has become a very serious business for us. And, I'll bring an example. We're over in Budapest and we did 12 episodes over there. The fact that if you said to me when we first had those conversations that we would be in Budapest shooting episodes, I would have laughed at you. And there are times when I do laugh at you when you come up with your ideas. There's another one I'm going to mention shortly, but I don't laugh much anymore. In fact, I think that, your outside the box thinking is really, really important. But back to the Budapest thing, we come home, we land in Toronto, we have a shoot for Heddle Shipyards the next day. Tell us a little bit about what happened there, Al.
Well, I mean, Ontario shipyard now, and so basically fly back overnight flight type thing from Europe, tired, get off the plane, and of course we have no luggage. So all of our camera gear is now gone. We have to shoot the next morning at 8 o'clock. Makes for a bit of a challenging day. We had to delay our start time by 2 hours, and in that 2 hours, we were able to go purchase all new gear and do a complete video shoot over 2 days not only in Hamilton and St. Catharines with the sort of brand new gear to us. It was quite a technical feat to you. For me, all I had to do was talk. But for you, you had to make all of this new stuff work, and we pulled it off.
Well, yeah, and you know, one of the things I'll say about that experience is that has permeated our approach to a lot of this because, frankly, I still have the phone that we shot it on.
Yeah.
All our cameras were, and I don't travel the same way as I used to now. I make sure that the cameras are on a carry-on, but you can't put all the equipment into a carry-on.
Yeah.
But what I want to say about that experience is, yeah, okay, we went to Walmart, we got the cheap old tripods and everything, but the technological tools that are out there, like an iPhone, can produce amazing work. And I think what you and I have learned and brought from the podcast into our commercial work is that we're trying to help teach people that you can use the tools that are in your pocket.
Yep.
You just have to have a few techniques, right?
And that's a big part of what you always try to bring to the clients, is to educate their team, their marketing team or whomever, that they can do a lot of this stuff themselves. We can kickstart them, we can educate them on how to do it, and then sort of go on your own. You know, we just had a meeting today and we were talking about somebody wanted to start a podcast, somebody wanted to get all of this content up on social media channels. There's a lot of work to this, right? And if you're an owner of a company out there or the chief executive officer or something, and you're driving your marketing team, understand there is a lot of work to this stuff. But Gerry brings to the table, after every project we do, an entire conversation around training, how we can help you get a little bit better. There's one thing I wanted to know before we go down too far down that path. There's one thing I did want to talk to you about. You said that you travel differently now. Tell us about the time that you were almost arrested, because that's a good story.
Actually, I have that stuff just a second now. See if I got it here.
So Gerry left the camera. I'm sorry that Gerry's left. I'll continue the conversation. So basically, we're in Toronto Airport. We're both going through security, and Gerry gets stopped. And like a good business partner, I said, "I'll see you in the lounge, buddy. Good luck with everything." And I leave Gerry behind. What happens then, Gerry?
Well, I see eyeballs on me, and you know, when you're going through the airport, there's a lot of security and everything. However, when security starts, I guess, creating a cordon around you, there was probably 7 or 8 security people kind of moving in. And then I saw 2 people talking, kind of animated, and I'm looking at them. Then I see a very large, I guess he's an Ontario police officer, I don't know. And I looked at him and I said, "Are they talking about me?" And he's gruff and he goes, "Yes, they are." And I'm like, "Can you give me any idea as to why?" "No, sir, at this point I can't." Anyway, eventually, Alan, I find out that they think I have bullets. And
what were they?
They were actually adapters, and they were over on my editing desk. That's why I got up, but I can't find them. They're there somewhere. I've taken them out of my luggage now because I don't need them. And that's the thing about it all. They were just in case adapters that I've never had to use. But when you look at them, they actually look just like bullets. And here's something, I'll tell you something I found out after the fact. And this is something very, we were going to the Turks and Caicos. There has been instances where people have actually had bullets in their luggage. The gentleman says to me, after the fact that I've been cleared, he said, "Just so you know, this happens a lot. Hunters tend to be doing their thing and they've got bullets around, bullet rolls off the table and goes in their luggage. They don't even know it's there." It happens frequently. Did you ever know that?
I didn't know that till you almost got arrested, but I sure was happy as that whole day played out. You know, and that also speaks to the training piece as well. we've learned some lessons along the way, some hard lessons along the way. That was kind of one of them, kind of a funny one. But it's those lessons that we can help our clients with. We can tell them sort of the equipment they need. And oftentimes when we go out on a shoot, the marketing team will be around us and they'll be amazed at the equipment that we have and how compact it is and how we make it all work so effectively together. So that too brings into the training pieces, that when they watch what we do, they learn a few lessons along the way because we've learned them the hard way.
Yeah, you're right. I want to bring up another story, and this is with a client we did, Lane's Retirement. I can tell you this, Alan, I came away from that. I think we did 16 interviews with people ranging in age from 80 to 92 or 3 or 4. Yep. And it really moved me because, I did a lot of it. I have probably 8 hours of my grandmother, who died when she was 93, recorded. But one of the things that I found there is that the genuine conversations of people who are in the end stages of their lives was really moving to me. And I'll tell you a quick story. We had the playlist on our YouTube channel, and a friend of mine whose mom was not well needed some reassurance. So I sent her the videos. The mom watched all those videos. She moved into a seniors complex. That's on the West Coast, but that actually helped them. Well,
and that speaks to kind of the importance of this content, because the content can be used for like very impactful things like that, and for business development and things like that. So when you have genuine and authentic conversations that are nuanced, if you're looking and watching that, it's not forcing, but causing people to make decisions, to act on things, and that's why this content moves across sector, whether it's the wind energy sector, which we've done a great deal of work in, or whether it's in construction, whether it's in mining, defense, marine, education, technology. It moves across all of these sectors because people are having conversations, they're talking about what they're doing, and then that's causing people to take actions, normally positive actions. In the case of one of our clients, Cougar helicopters, they were selling a product. Yeah. They chose to sell their product through conversation. Like, how cool is that?
Well, what it comes down to, and I was saying this to you, I did an interview with a gentleman it'll come up later, but he used to do some work in Portland, Oregon. Anyway, long story short, he said to me, Gerry, business is all about people and processes. And Alan, what I think, you and I realize is that people matter. Business is process, and that can be boring as anything, but the people are the ones that are generating the revenue. They're the ones making the contact. Yes, you have good leadership, and we always talk about leadership, but the people have to coalesce under that leader, don't they?
No, 100%. And when we have the pleasure to be in conversations with other clients like HR project partners, an HR company that's in the world of recruiting and retention and the whole HR thing within a company, and they see the importance of the way we do business, it really resonates with me because they understand more than anybody that people have to come first, and our method is all about that, lifting the people.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think I'm going to mention someone, we're talking about businesses. Chuck Ferlat is an interesting gentleman who we met Alan actually met him in the Turks and Caicos. We had just come off the Harry the Wolf, and then you came over to me and introduced me to him, and he said, oh, you got to meet this gentleman. Chuck's been by our side for 3 years now and has been a real advocate for what we're doing, hasn't he, Alan?
Yeah. What did you refer to himself?
Professional irritant.
So Chuck is sort of taken on as our business mentor. Chuck's got an incredible past, most of his career in the corner office, but going on to lead large boards and stuff like NB Power and things like that, and so willing to give us his time to help grow our business because Chuck knows that stories matter. And he knows that everybody's got great stories to tell. It's just really hard to get them out sometimes. And that's where we come in. Yeah. We help people get the stories out.
Yeah, you're right. And, when it comes to our conference work, I think a lot about that. I mean, we've done I mean, it's crazy to think about it. The first one we did, we had masks on. When we did the interview, there was a
screen, yeah.
What do you call it? Plexiglass screen.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of that the other day, and I was thinking, dear God. But we've done close to 50 of those, Alan, since. And yeah, it's commercial work. However, everybody is genuine. And I wanted to bring up something about that, and I'll never forget it. We were sitting on a Zoom talking about our approach with a client, and we had not talked about this prior to. There was some debate about going live. I think live can be really problematic, because if you go live, oh my God, you start tightening up. So you suggested, without any consultation with me, why don't we shoot, edit, and post? And I can tell you, that chair right there, I nearly fell off that chair when you said that, because I knew that was going to, rest on my shoulders. But I will tell you this, and I can tell anyone watching, despite the fact that I didn't particularly like the way you did that at the time, in reflecting now, 3 years later, that's our superpower. And kudos to you for always being willing to throw the ideas out there, despite the fact that my face drops sometimes when you suggest it, because I'm trying to, work through the process. But that one suggestion is a superpower.
Yeah, it certainly has worked well for us. And I mean, it's not without effort. It's not without a lot of sort of planning and stuff like that. But I think we got the model down pretty good, and I reflect back on the conversations that we had using that model, how appreciative the clients were to give them that boost in the moment, because things were coming out. And I think back on some of the great conversations we have. I mean, I had one not 2 weeks ago with Peter Mansbridge. I mean, how often do you get to talk with Peter Mansbridge or people like, Mary Walsh and Alan Doyle and Tommy Powell from the pizza shop, right? No one person was any better than the other. They just had very, very cool stories to tell. And we were able to sort of elevate and amplify those stories. And as you say, sometimes right in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell this, and I told this today with a client. We did 2 trade shows at once. And frankly, we could have done 5 that week, a couple of weeks ago. We had the Mineral Resources Review show, and then Alan flew to the National Association of Career Colleges. He took Gavin Barry with him, who rocked it. I stayed with Christina Ennis, and Christina, you rocked it. What I will tell you is a little scenario that played out. And someone said to me, in business, you have to push the boundaries. The fact that we had 2 of those shows, and we did 110 videos, and I know this because I looked at it and people who follow us probably saw my post. We did 110 videos in 4 days. But I want to tell you one little scenario that unfolded. Very early in the day, Christina had Premier Fury on, and I'm here doing my setup. Everything's going nice. A text comes in from Gavin. And Gavin goes, Gerry, he said, things are not going well. The camera can't get into focus. Well, holy shit. An interview's unfolding. That text comes in. My blood pressure goes through the roof. I was thinking about you at the time, because you're sitting in probably oblivious to all this, were you? Like, tell us what was going on in your mind when all this was unfolding.
I know that you could tell from Gavin's sort of demeanor that things were going off the rail a little bit, and we just had people lined up to be interviewed. But I think there's one thing about us is that we keep things really calm and level so that we can sort of roll through those things. That also, I think, is one of the things that people like about when they come on our show. It's very calm, it's very level, and they all walk away feeling really good about themselves, right? Yeah. After it's over. We have a way to calm people down, I think. And even those little incidents, when things are coming off the rails, I think we have an ability to just keep it level. We got a little bit of experience in life, so we're able to keep it. I told Peter Mansbridge when I interviewed him, I said, no, relax, you don't have to worry about this interview. And he did. It was wonderful.
I will tell you, I was envious when you posted that picture. I was like, man, I'd like to meet him. But back to the how it unfolded, me and Calm. The Premier's there, he's doing his thing. In the middle of all that, I'm actually recording a video on my phone, doing a little training session and showing my recording and saying, well, try this, try that, try this, try that. Took a little bit of time, but we worked it out and had that worked. And I can tell you this, Alan, I am incredibly proud of Gavin and Christina and you and myself, frankly, for pulling that off. It's an incredible feat to do 110 interviews, shoot, edit, and post to social media in 1 week.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And back to the Premier of Newfoundland and all the other sort of politicians and government folks that we've had on the show. We're not we're not politically leaning one way or the other. We really don't care what their background is. If they've got good things to talk about, we're happy to amplify those good things, because we know that people are doing things for the benefit of their community, right? And anybody comes on, they want to be part of the show. If they got a good news story to tell, we're more than happy to tell it. And we don't really, not that we don't care about political stuff, but that's not our thing. That's not what Gale Force Wins is all about. Gale Force Wins is all about telling great stories, right? And we've had them everywhere from academia, whether it's the career colleges, or most recently we were at a business school, your business school. Talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. We did some work with Karen Lacey in the Sonova Center of Excellence in Sales and Supply Chain Management. Amazed I remember that. But that for me was a full circle moment, because when I was in business school in 1992, graduated in 93, I paid my way through university shooting videos, and I was doing weddings. But I also shot on the night of my graduation a video. That school, Alan, means the world to me. It has challenged me. The professors of the day always were provocative, made me think, made me work hard. And it's foundational, right? So thanks for bringing that up. It was really, really nostalgic for me to be there shooting a video and being hired by the university to do those videos in a place that I graduated from.
Yeah, and some of the other ones that really jump off the page for me too, Perchance Theater. It's so incredible to be in conversations with artists that are doing such amazing things for the community, or even Music NL, showcasing some of the incredible talent, not only local talent, but international talent that Music NL are helping boost off the ground. Those were such cool conversations.
Well, you're right. I mean, let's reflect on the world as it is today. And, you and I didn't realize it at the time, but I guess the positive feeling, the fact that we met each other back in the 80s, the world needs some positivity. And this conduit, this platform, this brand now that we've built is something that, I'm really proud of. But more than that, this is not about me and you. As we always say, Alan, this is despite the fact we're doing an episode here now and talking like we are, this is about you. Everything, if you go down through all of our social media, this is about us sharing things about others. And I think knowing the algorithms and the way they work, if all you do is do a selfie of yourself and say, look at me, I've got this designation, that designation, pat myself on the back, other people need to have someone congratulate them, get them to reflect on their careers and share their journey. And I think the world needs a lot of positivity right now.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to say to people, you're doing a great job, or we really appreciate you. And that's a hard thing, right? And people need to hear it. I think people need to hear it, whatever they're doing. As I go back to Tommy over at the pizza store, right? Tommy needs to know that what he's doing is making a difference in his community. He really is. He's employing people. He's doing it just like the Premier of the province is doing great things, right? So everybody in between matters, and our job is just to get those stories out. Tell those good news stories. Pat a lot of those people on the back, because there's a lot of people out there doing great things. Sometimes we're not noticing them. And that's really what Gale Force Wins is all about. Notice them.
Yeah.
Put a spotlight on them. Talk about them.
You're right. I mean, and people like Tom, who worked in an 800 square foot pizza shop, he's just expanded. I love those stories. I want to do more interviews with people, that are working, that own their own car repair shops. Those small businesses really, really matter. That being said, I'm going to ask you to remember something. Yes, we love everyone. One of probably for me the most unique experiences was a week we spent with the premier of the Turks and Caicos. Alan, tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, it was a very interesting one. He was a wonderful man, but very sort of buttoned down, very protected of, very scripted almost, but a lovely guy, a really nice guy. And Gerry and I spent an entire week traveling with him, getting stories out of him. And by the end of it, we had him sort of walking down the street and just engaging in people. Where we started, he was behind his desk, shirt and tie on, very scripted. And it took us a week to sort of relax him and get his story out. And it was a beautiful story. I mean, there was times when people were talking to him in the street that both the person talking to him and the premier, they broke down into tears. They were talking about emotional things, but all very positive. But my favorite story in the Turks and Caicos was we were driving from point A to point B to one place, and I remember that we were trying to calm him down a little bit, get him sort of more relaxed for the next shoot. And I told him the famous saying about, you know how to tell a Newfoundlander in heaven? And he says, how? And I said, they're the ones that want to go home. Well, he thought that was the best thing ever and has used it since to describe Turks and Caicos Islanders. He uses the same line. So there you go.
Well, I have a lot of memories of the Turks and Caicos. One of them is you're driving on the left side of the road, particularly going around roundabouts. My wife won't go around a roundabout in Newfoundland. Try it on the left-hand side of the road. It's something else. But that Turks, and a couple other memories. I'll never forget flying on the Inter-Caribbean plane, and we are literally, it's the smallest and no leg room, and I'm looking, and the door has a gap. I actually have a video of this. I should, if I can find it, I'll put it up on here. But there's a gap about, 3 inches. Luckily, it doesn't go up where you need oxygen or anything. But I remember looking at it, I'm thinking, this door is going to pop open at any minute. But again, being brought in, we were welcomed in. The other thing I do remember about the Turks as well, that week we spent with the Premier was in August. Why couldn't that have been February? But anyway, it was August and it was 36 degrees. Remember what I used to have to do? We'd get into his vehicle and all my equipment was overheating. So I'd be holding it up to the air conditioning, trying to cool it down so that I could use it on the next outing when we go out of the vehicle.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've shot videos down in those temperatures, and the next week we're in Stephenville, Newfoundland, and it started to snow, I remember, and it's just going from one extreme to another. It's always been technically challenging, and the things we do, moving stuff around, making sure it comes with us, but it's been a lot of fun, all the sort of things that we find ourselves in. Whether it's, as I say, the education sector, whether it's defense, whether it's technology, energy, you name it, it's all comes back to one thing, and that's the people that really matter. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with everybody.
And I'm going to say this, Alan, it's a joy to have had you reach out to me March 20th, 2020, and ask me how I'm doing. The one thing about life is I feel that I'm a great connector. You're an exceptional connector. And I think we as people need to stay connected to the people that matter. And even though you and I forged our relationship 35 years ago and periodically talk to each other, I think that everyone needs to take a lesson from us, frankly, and say, stay connected. What do you think?
Almost 40 years ago, Gerry, when we went to basic training in the Navy. And it's important to stay connected with people. It's important to sort of keep that alive. But I mean, this has been a very interesting 4-year journey. Never thought it would be a business. And now it's an all-consuming business, right?
Yeah.
We have different approaches. We have different sort of ways to do business, you and I, but we're more alike than we are apart on many things. And I know that no matter all of the things that we talk about in the background of Gale Force Wins, when we arrive on site and work with a client, we're on the same page every single time, right? And all we're there for is to drive the content forward, get the stories out for those clients.
Well, I'm going to say this. It's our 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
This is episode 245, I believe it will be. And I can say that it's been an absolute pleasure being on this journey, and I look forward to where it takes us.
Yep, I can't thank you enough for everything that you do on the technical end, because I can tell you, everything you see at Gale Force Wins that's produced and we put out, it is truly just the tip of the iceberg. To get it to that point, there is an awful lot of work that has to happen in the background, and he does all that work. So thanks very much for being right at the bottom of that iceberg, because that's the most important part here.
Well, I will say this. We've gotten smart and we've taken on some extra people. Gavin Barry's one. Kyle Roberts, I almost forgot. I know we're cluing this up. Kyle Roberts is a young engineering student. I'll quickly tell you the story. I went to an Enactus meeting and he was sitting there and he had this final cut with 23 layers. If anyone knows anything about video, if you've got more than 4 or 5 layers, it's incredibly complex. That young man has done amazing work for us. So,
and Patty Wadden as well. Patty Wadden helps us every now and then on a gig economy. And on the other side, we have Judith Lovis doing interviews with us, right?
Yeah.
Christina Annis doing interviews with. Karen Hawko has been on doing some interviews. So, I mean, we're more than happy to have other people to be part of the Gale Force Wins team, because they provide a different conversation, a different lens, and we love all of it.
Yeah, we've mentioned names, Amanda McCullum, Rhonda Neary, Adele Connors. It goes on and on and on. And if we've forgotten anyone, we apologize. But thanks, Alan, for this journey.
Been a great 4 years. Stay tuned to a lot more Gale Force Wins.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Wins. That's Gale Force Wins, WINS.com.